This session will have a little bit different format because right now we are not talking about just success story. We're talking about a winner to compete to win the AGFUND prize. As all you know, that AGFUND prize started in 1999 with the initiative AGFUND as an effective tool to explore the pioneer project. Your project is real pioneer and compete with a lot of projects. So since inception, since 1999 until now, more than 1,400 projects were nominated. 63 won AGFUND prize. You know, when this prize started, it's all the time AGFUND respond to any initiative. I remember when we started in 1995 with a prize worth $300,000. When we come with a million development goals, that number increased by the committee and the board headed chaired by Prince Talal to 500. When United Nations and the whole globe come with the sustainable development goal, they increase the amount of money to be 1 million. You see how respond quickly to the international movement because AGFUND all the time, trying to respond to this initiative. So our speaker today, they speak in their behalf, their project. Of course, there is an international regional organization, NGOs, government, or social business enterprises, and individual. So our speaker will be Sunitha, the founder of the Chief Center for Brajula project in India. And as you know, she's a strong woman. She fights for the right of the others, especially women, especially crime with sex, etc. And you know her not just winning the project, you see her today and her questions, like she is always prepared to support the people. The second winner is Mr. Mushtaque Chowdhury. He is the vice chair of Barak. He's a professor in the university, and he is doing a lot, and his CV is so long, so he will be even presenting in Barak. The third winner is Yogendra, that's the director of GBC from Nepal. And this is one of the projects considered internationally. Of course, we have Miss Mary. Mary is a witness. She here because she won the prize 2000. And she will be joining us to tell you what happened for the prize. Because as you know, guys, we don't want to just tell the winner and that's it. We need her to show us how can we benefit. As you know, that now AGFUND prize align with the SDG goal. Last year, with the committee, I remember the minister was telling that how important is the goal number 1. When our committee discussed the subject last year, they found education is very important and critical. They are poor because they have no access to education. So we started the first year with goal number 4. So the winner for this year, they awarded because they did a good project for education. Next year will be goal number 1, no poverty. And this is a time to please call everybody around the table. Look at your project. Your project might be one of the projects compete for next year. You might know some project will be nominated by yourself. So the deadline probably AGFUND will provide you end of November. What I'm going to do here, I'm not going to ask questions at the beginning. I'm going to give each speaker just 3 minutes to tell people about the project, why they win the prize. So the floor is yours, Sunitha.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be a prize winner for the second time. I won it in 2007 for a project in human trafficking, and this time for vocationalized education. Well, I founded this organization called as Prajwala, which is an anti-human trafficking organization. We very specifically work on the issue of sex trafficking in India, and I think many of the countries who are sitting here, over 132 countries have problem of human trafficking, and India is no exception. Close to 3 million women and children are sold into sex slavery every year. And 45% of them are children. Children between the age of 2.5 years to 12 years are the most in-demand thing. And I just want to, instead of going too much into my project, I think I want to focus on what AGFUND does to our project, because I think what strikes me about AGFUND is 4 things which for the prize winners. One, the selection of the intervention, which is innovative, which is replicable, scalable, and also when it comes to my own project, what I understand is to look at projects that look, really cater to the most excluded, and when the most excluded becomes included, that's when the sustainable development goals become reality for everyone, because, and that is what AGFUND has been doing. In 2007, the project that was selected for the prize was our community-based intervention to end human trafficking. Today, it is replicated in 24 states in India and 4 countries. So what was a very small initiative in 2007, which was recognized by AGFUND, today has become a movement in the country. And something very unique about that movement is the fact that it is led by survivors of human trafficking, which by itself is something of a novelty. This prize that we have won is for vocationalized education to end human trafficking. Again, I would say a very innovative approach, and with AGFUND's support, I'm sure that we're going to scale it up and replicate it as far as possible in the world.
Yeah, thank you. Give the floor to
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Mushtaque.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. BRAC, I represent BRAC. BRAC and AGFUND have very common kind of objectives, which are poverty alleviation and empowerment of the poor and women. BRAC was born in Bangladesh in 1972, and over the years it has become a huge organization. Now it's probably the largest organization in the world, largest NGO, with 100,000 staff and reaching about 140 million people across the world. The theme of this conference today is on microfinance and financial inclusion. And BRAC is a major player in that. In Bangladesh alone, we have more than 6 million borrowers. And we also have programs in Africa. We have been hearing about the issues of microfinance in Africa this morning. And we have microfinance program in Uganda and Sierra Leone and other countries, where over the years we have lent more than $1 billion to nearly 500,000 borrowers. So that's one of the major programs. But coming to the winning project, which is the education project, in the early 80s, BRAC realized that children's education is a very important thing that we need to sort of invest and give attention to. So we looked at the issues that were there with the primary education in Bangladesh, and we found that the issue of low enrollment, the issue of high dropout, the issue of absenteeism, and the issue of quality were there, and we thought that we must do something about that. So we developed a non-formal primary education program, which tried to address all the problems that the program at that time, the Bangladesh primary system had been facing at that time. We decided that since we have a replicable model, we thought that we should make it available to as many children as possible. And over the last 25 years, over 10 million children have graduated through this primary education program. And in 2002, BRAC also moved to outside Bangladesh, to Afghanistan, and now to many other African countries. And true to its own principle, BRAC is expanding and replicating and also scaling this education program in Africa and many of the Asian countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, also in Tanzania and Sierra Leone, and also in Uganda. So we are very proud that we have been selected as a winner for this year's AGFUND, and we look forward to using this prize money to take the whole agenda of education for the poor and women and girls forward according to the SDG, SDG 4. And through that, we should be able to serve many more children in Bangladesh and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I give the floor to Mr. Yogendra Mandal? So please let us know about your project and how that's, go along with that.
We are, our JBS team, feeling very proud as a winner of this AGFUND. And it made us more responsible. And also we realized that what JBS are doing, what's the work of JBS, what's the activities and plans of JBS are towards the poor people. Because this AGFUND and AG and SDG of UN SDG similar. And JBS, when won this fund, that then we feel that we are still doing for the poor. We feel like this.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now I'm moving to Mary. Given that Humana People to People was one of the first prize winner of AGFUND, can you share with us how the award helped you creating the momentum toward SDG, and what you have been effective of the winning the project up to date? So can you share with everybody and let us know how your project was bigger in your impact and how it's bigger in the amount those days?
Sure,
The
sure.
floor is yours.
First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Nasser Alkahtani. I met Nasser the first time in New York in 2000, year 2000? No,
Yes.
even in 99. And was impressed with AGFUND and the way that the prize was developed by His Royal Highness and the board, and how the projects were selected, and we were encouraged to apply at that time, which was the early days of when AGFUND started to evaluating innovative and quality projects around the world for the poor. So just to give you a brief, Humana People to People is a federation of locally registered non-profit organizations working across the world in 40 countries, and there are 30 members in total, and we have about 14,000 employees, and we impact 15 million people in education, agriculture, and health every year. So the story behind the prize in 2000 was that we, as you know, the Sustainable Development Goal 3 about health and well-being of all people includes getting to the end of AIDS in 2030. At the time, in year 2000, African, especially African, sub-Saharan Africa, communities were ravaged by HIV and AIDS. Children, mothers, fathers were dying. We could see it in our projects. We followed our employees, our staff, our volunteers who were sick. They died. And we started, that was in 1999, developing and looking into our own hearts and saying, what is it that can end this epidemic and can reduce the spread of HIV and AIDS globally, but particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, where we had our deepest footprints with the people in the community. And we developed a program called TCE, Total Control of the Epidemic. And the basic foundation of this program is only the people can liberate themselves from AIDS. Nobody else can do it for them. And that was a principle that penetrated the whole program in terms of organizing, mobilizing, and inspiring people and communities across sub-Saharan Africa to stand up, understand what HIV/AIDS was, and to deal with the consequences, which were severe, and they are still severe. We had only started in one area, in Zimbabwe, in the rural area of Bindura at the time, and few donors knew about the program. Few international agencies really had a grip at the time of what to do with HIV and AIDS. And we presented the prize, or we presented the program. We were nominated by PACT, a US organization, and we won the first prize. What it meant for us was that we got very early on a recognition of the model and the importance of believing in people and mobilizing people to take charge of their own life, in this context, HIV and AIDS. And so we were at the time only covering about 100,000 people in Bindura, Zimbabwe, and I can say shortly that today we have been able to mobilize not just communities but also governments of Africa, international institutions such as USAID, the World Bank, PEPFAR, a Global Fund, etc. And today we have reached 20 million people. And that's thanks to the beginning and the understanding, the common understanding of believing in the power of people.
Thank you, Mary. As you all know, that the prize of AGFUND goes directly to the project, not to the organization. So, in a way, they hope to expand or replicate the same project. So nowadays, while we talk here about this conference, helping Africa, West and Central Africa, would like to ask the panelists, how can we, through AGFUND and yourself, helping our new financial inclusion in Africa, and our colleague in Africa, in terms of advice, in terms of technical assistance, and how that could, help. And I want you to share how you as an individual, Barak as an organization, GBS as Maria with your experience, how can we help financial inclusion and help West Africa and Central Africa? Sunitha, what could you give us an advice as an AGFUND and a new player, Badia, all our Swiss, agency for cooperation? We need to hear from you because you have an outstanding project. So we want to just replicate it and have it our brother and sister in Africa better. Especially if you look at it now, all the winner this year happened from Asia. So we need more winner happening from Africa, from all over the world, you know.
I think my understanding of financial inclusion is beyond MFIs and microfinance. I think we need to broaden our scope of understanding of financial inclusion. And one of the things that I would very strongly advocate is employability. And employability comes from vocationalized education, because most often young people are not employable because they're not empowered with skills which is sustainable and viable in the job market, and therefore they get financially excluded. And one of the things that I will very, very strongly advocate for in Central Africa is how can we make education more relevant through including a component of vocationalized education and creating a component of employability, because when you make people employable and it is easy for them just to get integrated in the job market, because I think very too often, financial inclusion is about microcredit. Not everybody is born as an entrepreneur, and not all of us can do entrepreneurship. Many of us may be good for doing jobs, but how do we make our literacy program, our education curriculums, our universities, which is more relevant to today's job market? And that is something that I would carry from our project to Central Africa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's a good recommendation, and that will take us for, as you know, that to empower women, you need two kinds of services. Financial services, what we're talking about through financial system, and non-financial services, which is the most difficult part of it. You know, guys, you're doing it, and you look at it, it's easy. Financial inclusion or financial services is the easiest part of it. If you help and through education, like Dr. Mohammed Zakari was talking right now, I was talking to him today, how can we go also with the university to Africa? We're talking about now, this is initially just started, that we need to educate 1,000 women in each country we go there. So imagine, that's in West Africa alone, within 5-year time, if AGFUND could educate 8,000 young women in Africa have a degree in financial inclusion. And this is one of the ways, because we already have a branch in Sudan. And Sudan, there is a logistic, Muhammad is studying now, how can we even have access to this education? And this is, we consider this as non-financial services to empower women. So, Mushtaque, how can Barak help in Africa? I know you already been in Africa. I know you've been in Sierra Leone and all other countries. But how can we do something and help West and Central Africa in this initiative? You'll be part of it.
All right. Well, as you said, that we have been in Africa since 2006. And what we are seeing is that there is a huge appetite and need for microfinance in Africa. But what is the issue there is the issue of scaling. We have small projects there, many small projects, but those haven't been really scaled up to reach as many people as possible. So that's the challenge. Then there are also some other regulatory issues there. So for example, the MFIs in most cases are not allowed to take savings. So that's the major problem, because since funding microfinance is a major issue, and if the MFIs are allowed to take savings, then some of the savings can be used to microfinance. The other issue is the question of taxation. Apart from Bangladesh, I think, most of the countries, the microfinance is taxed, which means that this extra money also falls on the borrowers, the poor borrowers. But the poor borrowers have to pay for that. So there are a lot of opportunities to really work at the macro level to affect policy changes. And I think AGFUND and BRAC can work together to take this forward, to really try to sort of change the policies of the government.
Yeah. Mari, with your experience in Africa, what can you do?
On financial inclusion, I think that Africa is ready for scaling up. I think that people on the ground in the communities are ready. I think that one of the critical things is if you come in with a bank and provide people with access, you need to give them financial literacy skills. Because over half of women in, for example, Mozambique, in some provinces, 70% of women are illiterate. So you need to combine the opportunity for banking and access to financial systems with ground, basic education, mobilization, and organization, so that people at the grassroots understand not just how to get access to the financial services, but also how to create their own small business and drive it. So I think we're ready.
Right.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mandal. How can you do something for Africa?
Though JVS not working in Africa, JVS now national NGO in Nepal, but we are doing microfinance. And you know that Nepal is still developing country. All know that 25% population in poverty line. So when we started microfinance in Nepal, then poorest of the poor family excluded from financial services. And people when excluded from financial service, problem is not only financial service. A lot of problems will be there. The problems are less education, poverty, health and problem in health and hygienic. So I believe that financial inclusion related to all things which needs for a better life for the poor people. So my view, my learning in our country that when we think about financial inclusion, how to get it respond from this. So I think first we need to categorize which level of poor people think about financial inclusion. Because some people have capacity to go to bank, maybe commercial bank, development bank, but at that same place or same country, the people cannot have capacity to go to the banks because they have not any kind of access to go to bank. So in our case in Nepal, when microfinance started, that even people who have capacity to go to the commercial bank to take money or services, then poor people also think, yeah, why? I have capacity, take money, no need to go to the commercial bank. So there is JBS, we can go there and take a loan. And whatever we want to do for the betterment of life, so we can do. So I think for the financial inclusion that we categorize the level of the needy people, then make the programs, projects or activities so that all kind of people cover the in financial inclusion. And I think here, when we talk about poor people, so poor means only need money. I believe not. I believe that poor people have first education. Education and poverty is interrelated. We cannot separate which is the first. Poverty is the first or education is first thing. So my belief is that we start both simultaneously, just like here. The UN set up goal, SDG goal, in 17 points. And AGFUND give the big contribution for this, to achieve this goal. And in the world, in our case, in Nepal, our government is very excited, very interested. This is the thing. So last year, our Prime Minister announced that we handshake for the poor for education. So every minister, every leader of politicians take two poor students and enroll to the school. And also in that family where children are not going to school, what's the problem? And problem is that poverty. So I think when we talk about financial inclusion, I believe that it's very important to come out from the poverty, and we need to other also factors which are mentioned in SDG goal.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Before I go to the floor, to thank you, not just as a speaker, as being part of Pioneer Project. You come and this is something we're proud of you. So let's give, take questions from the floor. Ladies first. Yeah, Ahmed Muhammad Ali now. I didn't see any ladies. By the way, Dr. Ahmed Muhammad Ali is a member of the AGFUND, Prize Committee, as well as Dr. Sayyid Abdullahi. All of them, would like to thank them for the good job. This committee chaired by His Royal Highness and a member of Queen Sofia. She will be with us on Wednesday, so we'll have the celebration together, as well as Dr. Muhammad Yunus and Madame Mercedes from Uruguay. Thank you for the committee. They make this prize since 1999 until now as a pioneering project and help AGFUND to highlight this and finance it. Thank you very much. Dr. Yunus.
Thank you very much. Actually, I want to speak as a member of the committee. First of all, to thank the panelists for this very advice, and I'm very happy to listen to them. And I want to thank the management of AGFUND for giving us this opportunity to listen to these winners. I want to ask them really, because of their experience and all that, in the committee, the members feel that after all these years, the prize should be spread more than it is now. So we need your advice, how the committee can help and AGFUND can help in spreading the prize in all over the world. Because some parts of the world still we are not receiving any proposals from them. So we need your advice on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Let's take more questions and go back to the panel. Yeah, please. Dr. Sayyid Abdullah, you want to say any word? We need to hear your voice. At least say hi.
I'll do that.
Okay, later on. Okay.
Okay, thank you. My name is Paul. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm working for the OPEC Fund. We've been talking about financial inclusion, and I would like to ask what multilateral organizations can do regarding financial inclusion for the youths, for the youths in Africa. And to focus on the question, I will justify the question by giving us a series of data that I believe we all know. By 2050, it's estimated that 2.2 billion people will be added to the population of the world. Now, 1.1 billion will be from Africa, and about 80% of the number will be young people in Africa. So I believe if you're talking about financial inclusion, we need to focus more on the youths. And I know that a lot of work is being done, but how can we do more? How can we synergize with the public sector, the private sector, multilateral organizations to make sure that we train our youths to understand what financial inclusion will be? Because when a population explosion grows in the next couple of years. We need these youths to really understand. Thank you.
Okay, we'll answer your question now, okay? Another, let's answer, before we go to the, give you the floor to answer how can we help committee in AGFUND for financial inclusion in Africa, and you talk about youth. AGFUND model is very simple. First of all, our target is women, and particularly youth. So the way we look at it, we look at in a human being as an entrepreneur unless proof otherwise. That's why our model, whoever coming to get the first loan, we include them in the financial system. So by having the first loan, not that mean you start business with the first loan. You remember Bill Gates, he went bankrupt 3 times. Bill Gates couldn't complete his bachelor's degree in Harvard School. Nobody was thinking that he is an entrepreneur. But by a human being, he is an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur. So given access to, especially for the youth, this is given a burden because they have to have access to education, access to financial, the first loan, access to saving. You know what that means, saving? Mean asset, mean collateral, mean your future, mean your small farmer. Imagine, we were discussing, Alka, thank you, Alka, for your conference. We were discussing about small farmer. Small farmer need an insurance. We were discussing that the small farmer need 10,000, give him back. No, what's he looking for? Paying back the loan and a little money to make a living. So that money will make him survive, because I don't want to have high insurance and burden of the farmer. I need reasonable to give him back. So the model is very simple. We look at youth and women, be included in the financial system. After 3 loans and you pay back, there is a certain criteria to continue as an entrepreneur. If you pay back within 3 times, and you already create a saving account which is increasing every time, as Khalid said, you have to prove that 3 times of your saving is your first loan. If you don't have loan, you have to put the saving 10% of it. And by the way, if you're paying to interest of 16% of your loan, whatever money you put in your saving, you make 18. If you put the whole money, we lose money, but we encourage people. So at the beginning, that's how you encourage people in saving, as well as education loan. We found out, by the way, as education loan is the first important for empower women. Imagine, we have an example in Sudan. We started giving a woman a loan to start nursery. You know what that means when we create a saving and we told mom, just the only we need from you for the first year, you just put 1 guinea in the saving of your child. That return of that saving within a year, she need 360 guinea to pay the first year. We told her, if you don't have money, you just pay guinea every day. Now we have 400 nursery. We enroll 10,000 child. The 10,000 child have saving account. That means 10,000 women want to work. And that's women start working and have a saving. Thanks God for Adel. Adel create the first loan. You take money and put it in your saving. That amount of money, 400,000, going to the entrepreneur to open, we make a bookkeeping. We give it a loan to the woman to put in the child saving with interest rate, I remember, 16%, and the return is 18%. If you just sign, she makes 10%, 2%, while when the entrepreneur pay us back 25%, we take 5%, and 18% go the saving. So you have to be creative. The only way I need, our team when we go to Africa, local women and young, they all an entrepreneur unless proof otherwise. Give them the chance, because they are illiterate. Give them the chance, for God's sake. Even if they are illiterate, but they are good farmer. They don't even read and write. So we'll go back to the panelists, and we'll ask them the same question. How can you help AGFUND and the committee to increase the number of from Africa, because Dr. Ahmed Muhammad Ali mentioning that most of the project we receive from Asia. We need more from Africa, we need more from Eastern Europe, we need more from South American, etc. So how can you encourage this? And by the way, for the first time, no government win the prize this year. And committee, thanks for the committee, they add, it's good to government or social business enterprise. And thanks God, Roger and Tommy is with us, and Olga as a private sector. You guys could nominate as a social business. What you do in Africa, you're not there to make money, you're there to cover. That's what we call it in AGFUND, social business. So guys, as a private sector, we need to encourage the private sector more. And by the way, if we had done a good achievement in our financial inclusion because of the partner with the private sector, I have to admit, Dr. Mu'taz Sawaf is here. He was helping us. Wherever we go, he always gives us some money for the seed money for our banks, and he will be part of our banks in Africa. Thank you, Mr. Mu'taz. So please, I'll give you the...
I have two suggestions. One is I think the committee should engage with prize winners beyond the prize. It's very important that the prize winners become the testimony of what AGFUND is and AGFUND is supposed to be for adaptation, replication, scalability, and further nominations. So I think largely the committee does not use the prize winners at all after the prize is given. I am one testimony of that because I won the prize in 2007, and I'm sure there are a good number of organizations and issues in Africa which is also related to human trafficking, or any humanitarian crisis can be interlinked to problems like human trafficking. I think the committee should engage with prize winners beyond the prizes and have a kind of a programmed event in areas that you want the AGFUND to be promoted, and the testimony of this prize should be something that is used in those places as a programmed event. The second suggestion I would say is using prize winners, because you are selecting the prize winners with criterions of innovation, scalability, replicability, and reaching out to the most excluded. Use them as mentors for other organizations and teams, because that's one way of spreading the word that it actually benefited this organization, and we also can benefit from this. But because I think one of the gaps in AGFUND's prizes is that you don't use us enough. Whatever we have done, I'm so grateful for what AGFUND has done for us, but I think AGFUND could have used us a little more than what it has done till date.
Thank you.